There's
They've
no
killed
evidence.
paramedics?
There's no legitimate evidence of them killing aid workers. However, there are evidence of them killing journalists in strategic strikes. And some of these journalists were a part of.
They killed
Hamas.
paramedics. They killed 20. They killed 20 paramedics and gave them a shallow grave, and then lied about it, saying that they didn't have their emergency lights on. The New York Times wrote a whole thing about this, showing that they did have their emergency lights on, and they were clearly wearing markers. And then a couple of different countries sent in aid workers to bring in food from like United Kitchen, etc., and they bomb and kill them. Australians, Americans, Canadians, bomb and kill them.
They argued that there was a mistake, and they owned up to it. They said they did, and they said it was a mistake.
Oh, it's a mistake. Like this is unacceptable.
Myron,
Talmud Tatum, as he's going to introduce himself in this debate, finally took on a real opponent in Myron Gaines and addressed a lot of his support for Israel. And for some reason, Brandon even admitted at times how dumb some of his takes are on Israel. It's Sean Daniel here. Get ready for a spicy video. And you might not like it because Brandon Tatum is a guy that a lot of you guys watch. But in my opinion, a lot of what he says and his stance on Israel is really wrong and misinformed. But you let me know what you think. And let's go.
What's up? What's happening?
Good. Real quick, can you just quickly introduce yourself to the audience? And I guess we'll kind of get right into it after, because I know we got limited time.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know me, I'm the Officer Tatum, a.k.a. Talmud Tatum. I can see it in the description section. Talmud Tatum Steen for some of y'all. But anyway, man, former police officer, college football player. I started my social media journey, after being a cop for a while. And I built a pretty big empire. I have over 20, 30 employees here. We do a lot of stuff here. So that's pretty much it.
And you were with Phoenix Police Department, right?
I was Tucson Police Department for about 6.5 years. And I did SWAT. I was a field training officer. I was a spokesperson for the police department for about a year. So I did a lot of things on the police department.
Nice. We'll have to have a conversation on that one day because, I was with HSI for many years. So we could definitely have a good discussion on that, especially Tucson. It's a very busy city for HSI, man. You're not too far from the border.
Yeah, it's crazy out there.
So I know me and you've been going back and forth, right? We disagree on some things, but I think it's always been a very civil and respectful discourse among, from our disagreements. One of the big things that we disagree on, obviously, is, Israel and our aid and our support of them. I think my audience kind of knows my position already. Do you kind of want to give yours so people don't mischaracterize where you stand with Israel?
Yeah, I mean, my support I'm a stunt Zionist, to say it bluntly. But my support for Israel is twofold. I think it's a strategic support by the United States of America to have Israel as a partner. I think we fund Israel for strategic purposes, which I agree with. I don't agree with everything Israel does, but for the most part, I think that they're a valuable partner for us. Also, there's a spiritual element of it. Biblically speaking, Israel and the state of Israel, the promised land, the Jewish people are all a part of my faith. And God has made a promise to those people, and we should honor that promise. And so I support and believe in Israel spiritually and support the state of Israel, the Jewish state. And then also they're our biggest ally for a reason. And I'm in full support of that.
This is where Brandon is probably going to get destroyed by Myron because he wants to improperly attribute the state of Israel to the children of Israel and the promised land that was given or promised to the children of Israel. I'm sure Myron's going to go after this hard. But at least we have Brandon showing some lightheartedness, calling himself Talmud Tatum. We'll see how lighthearted that stays because Myron has been wanting this interview, this debate for a long time. Here we go.
If you want to say that unwavering loyalty to Israel in a part that affects America negatively without any due diligence, that is a problem. I agree with you. But when you bring up Jews as if it's somehow uniquely Jews are involved in this or they're leading the charge here, I disagree with you. Now, if you say Zionists, that includes Americans who do not have necessarily a lineage from Judaism or a lineage from Israel. They're just people who believe in Israel's existence. Those
to the
are
detriment of the United
groups.
States. And that's the problem.
Well,
they put, we got no benefits from the war on terror.
Why is it just isolated as the Jews?
Okay, so see, and this is what everyone is kind of scared and everyone dances around it. I'm just going to call it like it is. The main architects and perpetrators of the wars in the Middle East are American Jews that have a dual allegiance to the United States. Do they have Americans who are not Jews that are Zionists that support them as well? Of course. But I think it's very important that we need to understand that at every single infrastructure in American society that has influence, whether it's big tech, the government, social media, finance, media, etc., it's controlled and run by Jews. They have an enormous amount of influence in our country. And the problem with that is that they have a dual allegiance. And when you have this dual allegiance, you're going to do things that might not necessarily put America first or give America the benefit. Now, I'll say this. The war on terror was a monumental failure. We spent trillions of dollars on a war that didn't really benefit us, but who did it benefit? It benefited Israel. They've been able to destroy or destabilize or cuck each of their enemies in the Middle East, and we've been paying the bill for it.
I disagree with you on that point. Okay, let's talk about the idea of Jews, right? Okay. Jewish people and people who are Jews are not all the same. And I'm not trying to say you're saying that, but it's coming across as that, right? You have people who are ethnically Jew, you have people who are religiously Jew, and then you have Jews who are leftists and Marxists, and then you have Jews who are conservatives.
Sure.
And so when you say people who are leading these organizations happen to be Jews, of course, some of them may be Jews, but that's not as if being a Jew is a problem in and of itself. Marxism is a problem. Now, if people are leading,
but who made Marxism?
Pushing Marxist agendas.
Who made Marxism?
Marxist Jews.
But see, here's the thing, man. Sometimes we just gotta call a spade a spade.
The Marxist Jews are a problem. Can we agree to that?
Well, Marxism in itself is a problem, but that's a Jewish construct. So is feminism.
Well, if you say it's a Jewish construct. Jewish construct. That's not Marxism isn't exclusively for everybody that's a Jew.
No, but it was made by Jews.
Marxist Jews came up with the idea, so Marxist Jews are the problem.
It's made by Jews.
Marxist Jews. Marxist Jews.
Karl Marx was a Jew.
Right. Jews that believe in Marxism. That's like saying these ignorant black folks who vote a certain way that's destroying this country, somehow black folks created that. No, it's these ignorant black folks that are creating that.
Fair.
Black people are all not the same.
Let me say this. It's not all Jews, but damn near every time it's always Jews. That's what I'm trying to say.
But the biggest threat to America
is Jewish influence.
Jews.
The biggest
threat.
It's not. That I will say it right now. Everyone else is too scared to say it in the right wing. The biggest threat we have in America is Jewish influence and subverting our government for their own agenda. Dude, the Israeli government just procured TikTok, the biggest social media platform in the country.
Who?
Israel just procured TikTok.
That was rewarding just to hear. I love that Brandon put himself in a corner. Because just because they're Marxist Jews that created Marxism and follow Marxism doesn't mean every Jew is bad. But like Myron said, almost every time we have these isms created, feminism, Marxism, all these movements, control of TikTok, it seems to be Jewish influence. And I want you guys to realize that maybe some of the reason these guys like Brandon Tatum will not be honest about the obvious Jewish influence in America, the obvious double allegiance these people have to promoting Israel, protecting Israel, while they're Americans in power, or they're Americans with a voice like Brandon, is one, because they wrongfully think that the state of Israel is the children of Israel, which it's not. So then therefore they will defend anything, almost any move that Israel makes. But also because if Brandon Tatum, the guy who likes money, the guy who likes attention, the guy who likes getting access to big events and big people, if he criticizes Israel, his access to those conferences, those events, those deals, those partnerships, that's going to be limited. And you can see it just by the reports we're hearing from Charlie Kirk, how he was pulling out his support, possibly from Israel, and losing some donors, and trying to warn Benjamin Netanyahu, supposedly through this letter, about how Israel is losing its ground with the American youth. If Brandon goes down that path of criticizing anything about it, even when it's so obvious, he's going to lose access. And somebody like him, who I've been around, I've worked for him before, I know. But most of these influencers, they don't want to lose access. They don't want to lose money. They don't want to lose sponsorships. They don't want to lose opportunities. So they will thread the needle when they need to. And that's a big deal for him, I believe.
Well, who runs America then, Brandon? Who runs America?
I mean, it's a
man.
few different
See,
things.
it comes full circle. Jews run
Not
America.
really.
Jews run
How
America.
does Jews run America, Myron?
Okay.
Who's in charge right now? Who's the leader of the country?
Donald Trump. And
Who's
Donald
the Speaker of the House?
Mike Johnson, whatever.
Mike Johnson.
But all these guys are hardcore Zionists. They don't have to be Jewish. They're hardcore Zionists. He was in the West Bank taking pictures. He was in the West Bank taking pictures.
Because they love Israel.
Bragging.
Because they love Myron. Because they love Israel. That's the, how is that nefarious?
Because they get paid by Israel. Because
their payment to Israel is not the only reason why they love Israel.
You're telling me that doesn't influence it?
I don't think so. I think what's happening is they're picking people who love Israel.
I think if you get $1 million, $2 million from a person, right, a donor, you're probably going to care about what they care about, and that donor is going to say, you know what, just protect Israel for us, okay? You might come on.
No, Myron. I think you got it backwards. What you got it backwards. What the donor is looking for is I'm gonna put money behind a person that agrees with my position,
and then you can influence that position.
Yeah, but they already agree with it.
No.
So me.
They agree with it because they're getting paid.
No, that's
or they're misinformed.
Subjective.
Or they're misinformed.
No, that's subjective. I think that for instance, I'm a Zionist.
Yeah.
If I were to run for office, a bunch of people who are Zionists would love to back me.
Yep. You're right.
They're not going to make me be a Zionist.
Okay.
They're just going to back me because I am a Zionist.
Let's go through this. If me and you both ran, right, for government in the United States,
yes,
you would be able to raise a significant amount more of money than I can because you are pro-Israel.
From Jews. No, I'll raise money from Jews more than you would.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. They're the ones that have a ridiculous amount of wealth in this country and have a ridiculous amount of influence. Okay? They run the media. That's the truth.
But think about this.
They run social media platforms. That's the truth. The head of all the main agencies was a Zionist Jew, pretty much. YouTube, Susan Wojcicki, right? Now it's Neil Mohan.
Myron, if that was true, if
Instagram, Adam Mosseri, Mark Zuckerberg.
Myron, if that was true, then the propaganda
Google, Sergey Brin.
The propaganda against Israel and all the mainstream media just bashing Israel every day, that wouldn't exist if they ran out of media. And then every Zionist,
it's literally about to get censored. They've just bought TikTok. And then here's another thing, too. Notice how, I know you said that the media bashes Israel all the time.
They bought TikTok.
Yes, Larry Ellison, who is a huge Zionist supporter, gives millions of dollars to the IDF, bought TikTok.
How is it? Just
he's a Jew as well.
He's a Zionist.
He's a Jew as well.
He's Jewish, meaning they won.
No, I'm saying that they are
going. They bought. You said they bought it.
Yes.
America bought it. An American bought TikTok.
Yes, an American.
They didn't sell it to an Israeli.
Who also donates a lot of money to a foreign government and is friends with the prime minister and lets him vacation on his island.
Brandon's sounding like a lib. You see that? Because technically you cannot say that Israel bought TikTok. But the connection is so obvious. And when you argue with a liberal, they'll point out one article you used in a sentence to showcase why the connecting link you're trying to propose is not true. Come on, man. Miriam Adelson gave Trump $100 million, which most of us love Trump. We love a lot of things he's doing. And you don't think this big donor who's Jewish, has big ties to the Jews and big ties to Israel, her giving him $100 million for his campaign is not going to influence him to do some pro-Israel things? And it's the same with TikTok. It's been bought by this Jewish billionaire who has insane ties to Israel and to Netanyahu. You don't think, especially how it's tied right now with all these politicians, the Utah governor where Charlie Kirk got shot, Mike Johnson, people in Congress, talking about how social media companies are out of control and we need to rake it in. Even Kash Patel's bringing this up, by the way, how social media companies are out of control and we need to limit the hate speech, they've said. They've also said the clickbait fake stories. We need to limit those. You don't think all that timed messaging with TikTok being bought by a Jewish billionaire, American billionaire who has ties to Jews and donates to the Jews, you don't think that should raise any suspicion, is a part of any plan to now limit some of this, I would say, enlightenment on what's going on, enlightenment on how many Jews run the media, how much we do things for Israel. How can Brandon not see that as obvious? It's like he's just sold out to this idea that Israel is God's chosen people, and he turns a blind eye. He's been blinded to the obvious connections and power struggles and games that are played for Israel. And it's great that Myron calls him out on it and actually had him on the show. I can't believe Brandon went on.
And the reason why I said it's an apartheid, because Israel occupies the West Bank. They also occupy Gaza. These people have no rights. They have no representation. They can't vote. They can't do anything.
That's not true.
The people in Gaza can vote. The people in the West Bank can vote.
People in Gaza voted for
They have
Hamas. They
sovereignty?
can't vote in Israel, but they vote for what's in their own territory.
But they have no
They
sovereignty.
voted for Hamas.
They have no sovereignty at all. They don't control their airspace. They don't control their internet. They don't control their water. How do you think Israel's able to starve them right now? The fact that Israel's able to do this blockade and starve them proves that they have no sovereignty.
Myron, how are they getting water right now?
From Israel.
Okay,
Israel
so
controls everything.
They're not they're not killing these people. They're
They
giving
are.
them water. They're giving them medical supply, and they're giving them food.
And they're still dying of starvation.
How many of you have died from starvation?
Thousands.
No, give me
Thousands. We don't know because so many people have been dying. We got 60,000 right now, right? We got 60,000. When this war is done and the fog of war is gone and we're able to actually recount everything and go through the rubble and everything, it's going to be hundreds of thousands. It's going to be hundreds.
That's fine. If you say hundreds of thousands, okay, there's 2 million people that live there.
2, 3, yep.
And you say the starvation, they have given hundreds of thousands of tons of food over this 2-year war because there was.
That doesn't mean that the food gets in.
No, yeah, because and according to the UN,
because they're not letting it in.
According to the UN, 96% of all the aid is getting looted, and this is the reason why Israel and it created a bottleneck because they did not want Hamas controlling the food, and the UN disagreed, and so they created another supply chain with the United States of America, and they created avenues in which they can get the food in an equitable way without it getting looted. And this is what they did. This is why they're still eating. You can go see pallets and pallets of food
that are not in Gaza
on the border that they hadn't been getting because of the UN.
Outside.
Because of the UN.
No, because Israel will not allow them to get in to bring in the food.
Myron,
workers. You know how many aid workers have been killed by Israel? Israel's killed journalists. They've killed aid workers, to include American citizens.
They've killed
paramedics.
There's no legitimate evidence of them killing aid workers. However, there are evidence of them killing journalists. They kill in strategic strikes. And some of these journalists were a part of.
They killed
Hamas.
paramedics. They killed 20. They killed 20 paramedics and gave them a shallow grave, and then lied about it, saying that they didn't have their mercy lights on. The New York Times wrote a whole thing about this, showing that they did have their mercy lights on, and they were clearly wearing markers. And then a couple of different countries sent in aid workers to bring in food from like United Kitchen, etc. And they bomb and kill them. Australians, Americans, Canadians, bomb and kill them.
They argued that there was a mistake, and they owned up to it. They said they did, and they said it was a mistake.
Oh, it's a mistake. Like this is unacceptable,
Myron. If they wanted to kill hundreds of thousands of people, they can do it.
Yeah.
They clearly are not doing that.
Yeah, because
if they wanted to starve them, they could starve them and cut off their water supply, and they'd be dead in the first, 8 months. Why are they not doing that, Myron, if they want to commit a genocide and they're trying to kill all these people?
Because you can't be as obvious about it. The goal is to make it so bad.
They're obvious according to you. According to you.
The goal here is this. This is the goal. The goal is to make it so bad and uninhabitable that they have no choice but to leave the land so that Israel can go ahead and colonize that part as well.
Just amazes me sometimes who gets a platform like Brandon. He's put in a lot of work and he's got a whole team, but to believe that the Israeli government just accidentally made a mistake by killing some of these aid workers, by killing some of these journalists. He at least admitted those were strategic strikes to kill journalists. And he doesn't even question that. Why would Israel want to kill journalists if the journalists are just reporting what's going on? Even if they're reporting fake stories, why would you kill them? Is that really the mentality? That kind of seems to be the mentality we see with the people that get demonetized or get wiped out when they say something negative about Israel. Because why would they want to kill journalists when they're just getting out a story, even if it's fake? That's pretty bad. And then to not get irritated by that, to not see that as a continual method they have, Brandon, and then to just forgive and understand and truly believe when there was a mistake made by killing aid workers. So dumb, man. Let me know what you guys think down below about this spicy debate, especially about Brandon. And I'll see you in the next one.